You too can give your beard the magic touch and treat your skin to the finest. Visit hempwizard.net today and use code 20OFF to save 20% off of your entire order.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory.
Good morning and welcome to Saturday, November the 12th in our year of the Lord 2022. And welcome to the Sunday Audible Show, live from Monroe, New Jersey, and streaming on your Facebook and YouTube pages. So, guys, welcome to Saturday morning, along with Jeff Tomwinski and John Marhefka. This is the Sunday Audible. We break down the Week 10 of the NFL for you, along with its biggest stories. So, guys, I hope you're having a great weekend. It's the holiday season, so happy holidays from all of us here at the Sunday Audible. Remember, for your holiday gift giving, make sure you reach out to our dear friends at hempwizard.net, the Hemp Wizard Beer Care Company, for your stocking stuffers or your gifts for your bearded family and friends. And don't forget those with skin needs. They have a complete line of skincare products, lotions, hand lotions, for all people in the family, and I'm sure Jeff will give a little bit of something when he gets on. But guys, let's get it on. We got a lot of stuff going on. We're, I don't know, I guess the halfway point, just past the halfway point of the season. We're going to give you our Super Bowl picks. Maybe they've changed a little bit since the preseason. The NFL is truly an odd place, and week to week, you just never know. So welcome aboard. Stick around. We got plenty to get to for about an hour. I will bring on John and Jeff now. So the backbone of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, best player on Staten Island, and my best buddy, Mr. Jeff Tomwinski. What's up, Pepe?
What's up, man?
And, of course, you know him by his superhero days at RFL Records. It's the top dog over there. And he's also the most well-dressed guy on the show. Each week he comes out in a different uniform. And, of course, I'm talking about the big shot over at RFL, Mr. John Marhefka. What's up, Johnny boy?
Morning, guys.
Good morning.
What is the sport today? What is that?
I got the Rams today.
Got some Ram stuff on. Part of my man sporting his green machine, and you know what? It's a great way to open up the show because that was my number one thing for this week, guys, is the changing of the guard in the NFL a little bit. Yes, the GOAT. Yeah, I can bring him up if he wants you to GOAT. I can bring him up.
What are you talking about?
There's no goat in there, Tommy.
The real GOAT. That's the GOAT. That's the GOAT.
You know what? I finally understand why.
Why what?
You like that so much.
Why, like what? Tom Brady being the GOAT?
That bobblehead.
It's Tom Brady. It's a GOAT.
No, just because you have the same shaped head.
Is that why? Is that why?
There's only one goat.
All right, I'll give you Walter, but he's that's a tough one. The GOAT of all time is, of course, Lawrence Taylor. There is no greater, there is no better on-field person. But that's another day, another show. We won't get to GOATs, but I do want to talk about the Jets. And guys, Jeff, I'm going to let you go first because it's your squad. A great win. Nobody out there predicted this. No, I personally, for me, it was about keeping it close and their defense playing the way it could, and offense trying to eke out just something to keep it close. And Jeff, that's a huge win. That's a division-changing win. And listen, with Josh Allen got a couple of medical issues this week. You know what? You Jets could come back in a whole different spot.
Time will tell, man. Time will tell. I don't want to say too much now because I'm waiting for the perfect moment, but you'll see. It's about to happen.
Will it happen? Is this like an announcement like Trump's going to run for in 24, or is this some sort of other magical announcement you're going to make today.
Listen, here's hoping Trump trips before 2024. Let Ron DeSantis get in the front of the pack there, please.
I'm on the DeSantis train, but that's a whole different show. Let's get over that.
Yeah.
John,
I think a lot of us are on that train.
Yes.
Maybe Coach
John,
Saylor for president.
say again.
Maybe Coach Saylor for president.
Maybe looking for dog catcher next year, please. Maybe looking for dog catcher.
He's doing a
John,
great job.
that's a big win and a shakeup for a team that most of us had picked to go to the Super Bowl and win it this year off a disappointing ending of last year. I mean, a great team last year, a disappointing ending in that game. But that's either a very big wake up call or we got to see the real Buffalo Bills last week.
I'll tell you what, Tommy, I was very impressed with the Jets and what they did defensively. I think really what I liked about that is those guys never let off the gas. They had Josh Allen rattled. And you don't see Josh Allen rattled too often, especially in the red zone. I mean, some bad picks there. Receivers had no separation. I kind of think you see Buffalo do things like that, though. We saw it last year, too, a couple letdowns. But I give a ton to the Jets and the way they prepared. I really do. I mean, they kept the game close, did what they had to do, and really undermanned too.
Agreed. But let's not throw rose petals at their feet yet. The week before, the very disappointing loss to a beatable New England Patriots team. A lot's going to tell me what happens when they come back next week and they go to Foxborough. A bad loss or any sort of a loss to next week, to me, is kind of telling. This is an inconsistent offense with a really good defense and special teams. And, Jeff, I think the biggest thing right now that I would say knocks the Jets is the loss of Bryce Hall. Had he been able to stay healthy for this year, I think this is a completely different Jets team with that kid back there. But John Robinson and Carter could fill in as a two-headed monster right now.
Yeah, they can. I mean, listen, what could be said? Injuries get the best of every team at any given time throughout the year. And the Jets have definitely had their share of them, and they've overcome a lot of them with injuries to the offensive line. Yeah. And they just kept going. They did beat Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers seems pretty human this year. So I wouldn't put too much on that. Did Josh Allen have a bad game? I don't know. Let's see what happens when Josh Allen comes back, and let's see what happens when the Jets come back. But right now, I can tell you this much. If they didn't lose to the Patriots, right now the Jets are in first place in that division.
Well, listen, there's no doubt, and you're looking at
first place in the AFC.
Again, there's a balance and change of power. And we're going to, after we finish with the Jets, we're going to get to some of the disappointing teams and a few of the surprise teams. Obviously, the Jets might lead the pack along with their cousins over in the other side of the stadium. But, we'll see how that plays out this week. But, yeah, looking at that division right now, it's 6-2 Buffalo. A loss tomorrow with an unhealthy and a lot of injuries on that roster, playing probably the toughest game of the week with playing the Minnesota Vikings. This is no lock for Buffalo, Jeff. So, the Jets could come back technically in first place with the tiebreaker so far.
Yep.
Yeah. So listen, John, it's a very interesting AFC East, which we would never have thought before the season that there would even be this. And of course, a lot of the divisions. I mean, everything's really close. Nobody's running away with it in anywhere except for maybe Minnesota. That's a tell. But John, there's a changing of the guard, and I think the changing of the guard is equally beside the surprise teams like the Jets and the Giants. Maybe I don't even know if there is another surprise team, but maybe Miami we can call it. But the disappointing teams, John, that's the one that got me this week. And I'm going to rattle off, guys, some team names, and let me know if you think they're disappointing and if I missed anybody. So first off is the Colts having to fire Frank Reich. John, a completely different philosophy this year by bringing in Matt Ryan. I don't know if Frank Reich sold out his soul thinking he had a guy who was more than a game manager and got away from what they did really well last year.
Yeah, I think that really tells a tale there, Tommy, is that team was supposed to be, predicated on the run, with Jonathan Taylor, and that's what they did well last year. And we didn't see it at all this year, even with Matt Ryan. They brought Matt Ryan in, and it seemed like it was, let's get to the passing game right away, pretty much leave the running game behind, and the defense has been disappointing as well. So I see from that team, there was a lot of problems going into this season behind the scenes, and I think that's where things like this happen. When you see a team just drop off of what they do best, somebody was putting pressure in there somewhere. Frank Reich being gone after a winning season, winning record too.
Yeah,
is really surprising to me.
I don't think so. You know why, John? I don't mean to cut you off, but I think it's more the selection. I'm going to say that it was Reich's call on Wentz, Reich's call on Matt Ryan, and I think that's what buried him. I don't think he would have got buried had the quarterback played well and they just lost games for other reasons. I think he was the guy behind those two decisions, and I think that's what buried him.
I think, though, if you look at Matt Ryan, though, Tommy, I mean, once we saw, was steady until the end of the season when he threw some bad picks. They lost some bad games. I mean, they were right on the borderline playoff, team right there. But I think with Matt Ryan, I don't think they used him properly. I really think that it was a bad, game plan going in. I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator's fault, Frank Reich's fault, but Matt Ryan at this stage in his career is a game manager.
Yep.
I mean, you need to run the ball. You need to, pound Jonathan Taylor. I mean, even if he gets 20 yards in the first half, you got to stick with what you do best and keep it, low scoring and do what you do best. And when you go away from those things, you lose a lot of football games.
Yeah, Jeff, another team that is, we'll do one of these, and then I'll give you the overall, guys. But, Jeff, another team that I know I expected to maybe fight for a wild card berth or maybe a division, but, was the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, bringing in Josh McDaniels. They make the big trade splash for Davante Adams, Jeff. And obviously with their record being what it is at 2-6, it hasn't materialized.
No, it definitely hasn't. And I don't know about them taking the division over the Chiefs and the Chargers. The Chargers have been a little disappointing too. Actually, that whole division, except for the Chiefs, has been pretty
100%
underperforming and disappointing. But the Vegas Raiders, every year there's high hopes for this team, and they never deliver. They never come close. Ever since that Carr broke his leg.
Yeah.
It seems as though that team is just, they were a better team last year, going through a lot of problems and different issues than they are this year. And you don't even really hear much about them this year.
I agree. And guys, there's a couple of the old guard who have disappointed this year. They're all NFC teams. And John, why is it that the Bucs, the Rams, and the Packers have basically just fallen off the ledge? These are teams that are every year, especially since Brady got there, making it to the playoffs, been a powerhouse in the conference. Why is it age? Is it what is it now that these three teams are probably, at least two of them probably are not going to get to the playoffs?
It's funny, Tommy. If you watch these three teams, I think Jeff pointed it out last week. The age definitely is starting to become a factor. At least at the quarterback position. With Brady and Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers. Watching this guy his entire career. I mean, you don't see that confidence anymore. You don't see that. That cocky attitude. That hey, I could beat anybody here. He just seems like he's going through the motions. His offensive line is killing him back there. He doesn't have Davante Adams, but the guy still has weapons. They're not the receivers just aren't getting open. Dobbs got hurt last week early in the game. So there hasn't been any chance to really build any cohesion there. The running game, with Aaron Jones has been, decent at points, but it's not the same Aaron Rodgers. And I think that's really where it's at right there with Green Bay. Jeff, I agree with John on that. But I think it's even deeper. I think that the Packer young receivers don't have any respect and certainly don't have any chemistry
with Aaron Rodgers because of the way he's acted, not only during the season but during the offseason, shunning the team. His whole I don't know where I'm going to be playing. I don't know if I'm going to be playing routine. I think that's the biggest thing that's affected this team. I still think Aaron Rodgers can play. I just think his team has quit around him.
It might. I mean, listen, you got Romeo Dobbs. He's been injured. Lazard, who we know well, is both of them actually.
Yeah.
Lazard has been questionable and injured a lot. Cobb, isn't he on the older side, the wrong side of 30?
Mm-hmm.
So, right there, you're naming 3 receivers that Green Bay has, and, that they're either old or injured all season long. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers wants to even be there, to be honest with you. He looks preoccupied. He don't look like he's ready for football.
Yep.
And it's like almost like, well, all right, I'm going to go because I'm just going to play for 2 more years and then that's it. I wouldn't be surprised if he retires after this year with the way the state of the Packers team is. And I don't see that team going to the playoffs. And that'll be the first time in a long time that Packers team doesn't make the playoffs if they don't right the ship soon and get going. They're 3 games under 500 with their 3-6. So 9 games in, and what it is, another 8 games left. So they got to win more than half their games to be a playoff contender. And there's too many teams in the NFC right now, especially the NFC East. There you may get 2 teams for the wild card right out of there.
Yeah. No,
right?
Listen. 100%.
So they need to buckle down and start to play and produce, or else they're going to go home early.
Well, again, I agree. And guys, again, the Rams, I think I think they sold their soul last year, John. No picking on your tire today, but I think they sold their soul last year, and I think that dreaded Super Bowl hangover just has bit them in the ass. And you have a quarterback who had a career year, and I'm not putting the old Del Beckham thing as the biggest factor. I refuse to do that. I just think they haven't played well, and I think I think there's that sense of we did it last year. Complacency has bit them in the ass.
You're right, Tom. I mean, if you look at last week's game as a perfect example, I mean, the defense shut Tampa down, and all the offense needed to do was just run some clock. They're not able to run the ball. They're not able to do the little things right. You're going to give Brady that amount of time. I mean, even though he had a long field to go, I mean, they just collapse right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that's what you expect the Rams defense to shut offenses down. I mean, that's what this is based on, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey being able to do that. They didn't get it done, but if you saw the press conference after what Ramsey said, I mean, he blasted the offense for what they did.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put teams away when you have the opportunity to put teams away offensively, and they're just not getting it done.
Yeah, I 100% agreed. And I think the last one, Jeff, is the team we grabbed their quarterback in fantasy, and that's the Chargers. And while the record isn't terrible, Jeff, at 5-3. Their play has been substandard, and they'll probably, because of 7 teams, Jeff, make it to the playoffs. But I don't have a lot of faith in this team. Lots of injuries, including to the quarterback. But at this point, this is a very disappointing Chargers team from a standpoint of not grabbing the division by the throat, and certainly the conference.
Well, one thing I just want to add to John's statement about the Rams. Don't forget, they have a lot of guys that didn't come back this year from last year, and they're all a year older, including Aaron Donald and Stafford. The age catches up, and a lot of people maybe don't want to admit this and see it, because so many of these players are now successful playing into their 40s, like Brady and Breeze was. But to get back over to the Chargers, they've faced a lot of injuries so far this year. Herbert has had an incredible run his first 2-3 years in the NFL with the amount of yards he was throwing and everything that he could do. Everybody thought that, he's a great quarterback, and he's a great quarterback, but he's just not enough to take that team to the next level. His receivers have been injured. His offensive line has been injured. There's been some injuries on the defense. What is it? They got Khalil Mack, but Khalil Mack himself is getting a little older too. You know,
Yeah.
it's just is this a team that's going to go through a somewhat of a rebuild? Come this spring, and try to shore up what they got, or what? I mean, you got plenty of time with Herbert, but you don't want to waste his prime years trying to rebuild. So,
Nope.
I wonder if this is the next team that's going to give up a bunch of draft picks,
Bottom
for
out.
whoever they could get their hands on.
Yeah, they may sell out their soul. Good call, Jeff. Sunday Audible. Lots of good stuff here. On top of that, thank you for tuning in. We're having a little bit of fun on this Saturday morning. Week 10 of the NFL season kicked off Thursday night. Very disappointing Atlanta Falcons team losing to the Panthers. Surprise, this is the craziest season I've ever seen, guys. But
Right.
let's talk a little bit now. We talked about the teams, but let me talk to you about quarterbacks a little bit specifically. And this is a big second half. I know it's technically not the start of the second half, guys, but there's a lot of quarterbacks who have to make a little bit of hay here. Jeff, I'm gonna. He's not on my list, but I'm curious. Is this a big second half for Zach Wilson? You know what I mean? Do you see there's any chance? Let's say he has a mediocre or subpar second half. Do the Jets try to go veteran next year? Do the Jets, do you think he's got a third year no matter what happens in the second half?
We got a quarterback.
Oh boy, should have even bothered. Should have even bothered. All right, so guys, here's I'm gonna throw out a bunch of names. You guys can comment on which ones you want, but I think these are big second halves. First off, Geno Smith and Daniel Jones. They need to show, both these guys need to show that their first halves were not flukes, and to maybe for multi-year deals. I think the Seahawks guys are desperately trying to figure out whether Geno Smith's their guy long term. So for surprise, I'll get your comments both on those two guys quick. Jeff, Daniel Jones and Geno Smith.
Well, first, Daniel Jones still only has 6 touchdown passes this year. I understand he hasn't given the ball up as much, but you want to see some more offense out of him. I wouldn't. He needs a big second half without a doubt to start thinking long term with him, because if not, 6 touchdown passes in what, 9 games?
8 games.
8 games.
Yeah.
It's not good. He's already showing that right now. He's showing that he can't carry the team. There's guys that have, that many touchdown passes in 2 weeks. So he needs to step it up if he wants to be the long-term answer in New York, I feel.
Okay. Geno Smith,
I keep waiting for the wheels to blow off. Never mind fall off. I'm just waiting for it to all implode. We know Geno Smith from watching him here with the Jets and the streak killing time with the Giants. And it just, I can't believe that he's playing like he is. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but I feel it's just a matter of time before, he loses it and he's on the sideline throwing tablets and, forgetting his helmet and all this other shit, just like it's almost inevitable, I feel. But in that division, all he has to do is not turn the ball over and help his team, by being a game manager.
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing a little bit more than that this year. I'm kind of shocked, to be honest with you.
I'm with you. And John, are you shocked?
I am. You know what, though, guys? If you watched the game last week against Arizona, you saw there was some shaky play out of Geno. I mean, they were getting pressure on him. Yeah, they won the game, but it wasn't one of those, where I was blown away by his performance. I think Jackson in the backfield is a nice addition. I like what they're doing with him. I mean, you got a young guy. That team was always built around that anyway. Run the ball first, and you got 2 great weapons on the outside. DK Metcalf's a mismatch for anybody. I think if Geno continues to, just manage and play the way he's doing, keep, consistency there, keep running the ball, I really don't know. I think those guys are a good team, but I think, like Jeff said, that's one of those teams that, the wheels could fall off at any minute because of past experience. So it's a tough call right there.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Again, guys, a couple other quarterbacks. John, Jimmy G, Mac Jones, Jared Goff. First off, Mac Jones. little bit of a rough sophomore season, but does he need to have a big second half, or does it no matter what he's going to go into camp trying to win a job next year with Bailey Zappi?
Yeah, I was really surprised when they brought Zappi in after him. That Monday night game, I was really surprised at that. And then Zappi, hitting the touchdowns, early and then just totally falling apart at the end of the game. I think with Mac Jones, I think all those guys are kind of like in the same boat. Game managers, the teams like to run the football, play defense, keep the scores low. But I think out of all of them, I think Jimmy G has the most to gain here. I mean, he has the best team around him. He's got a great defense. Christian McCaffrey, adding him as a weapon is ridiculous with Debo and Brandon Ayuk and Kittle. I dare I say this, guys, but I see this team as a Super Bowl contender. I really do. Even with Jimmy G, I just think they have all the tools now. I think the reason they brought McCaffrey in is to get to the Super Bowl, kind of like what the Rams did with what they did last year. So, I could see them winning that division and going far into the playoffs, barring any injuries.
No doubt. Defense is good enough, and I think with McCaffrey, there's enough offense there. Jeff, last word on the quarterbacks. Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, and Jimmy G. Are any of those guys going to be back with their team next year?
Wow. Well, I think Aaron Rodgers will definitely be back in Green Bay unless he retires. I don't think he'll ever wear another jersey. Carr, he may be on his way out, but, once again, who do they get? Are they going to go to a complete rebuild? And do you really want to be rebuilding in Vegas? Vegas may be one of those teams where they're constantly going to try to put a Band-Aid on stuff and keep it running for the year.
Yep.
Never
That's
mind trying
point.
to rebuild,
That's
because they want to bring people in. Nobody's going to want to see a team that's 2-15. As far as Jimmy G goes, the better he does, the more looks he'll get probably come the spring. And San Francisco, if they were smart, they would showcase him a little bit more and hope that he brings that team far. Because one, having a proper quarterback, so who you're going to pick, is a good thing. Is Trey Lance? You didn't get nothing out of Trey Lance this year. What, 1 game, 2 games, or whatever it was.
Yep.
So you don't know what he's like for the season, but at least you know what you're getting out of Jimmy G. The only problem with it is just I don't think anybody believes in Garoppolo. There's always that question, like, is he the man or not? And it's nobody says to step up and say this is our quarterback. They were going to hold on to him. They held on to him last year, and they weren't looking to trade him this year, but that worked out for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sometimes you don't understand the mindset of some of these teams. Is he a more valuable on the roster, or is he more valuable as a trade? What could you get for him? Right. You don't want to let him go for a 4th rounder, but some teams are willing to give up the house for just about anybody. And maybe Garoppolo has a good year this year, gets into the playoffs, like John said. And, maybe next year they get something for him in the offseason to get a couple 1st rounders, 2nd rounders for him.
Guys, think about this too. What if San Francisco goes and wins the Super Bowl? Then what do you do? You got a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah, but I think John, then it makes their job easier. They just won the Super Bowl. Now you can make that change, sell Jimmy G at his highest point, and now you're not expected to win next year. Now you make that change and go with Trey Lance. But again, sorry, finish it.
How old is Garoppolo?
No, I agree, Tommy.
31, 32?
He's that old?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, is he getting to that point where age may become a factor? He has an injury history too,
Yeah, Jeff, I think in today's day and age, quarterbacks are playing and playing well into the late 30s. I mean, at least, physically able to play. I would say no. I think the injury history is a bigger deal. And I think for Jimmy G, it's not regular season. It's big game Jimmy G. He needs to have a couple of big games either late in the season to get to the playoffs or change positioning in the playoffs. And then certainly he needs to win a playoff game or 2. I think that changes the narrative. I think the bigger question is, Jeff, if they don't win the Super Bowl, John, also, I think if they don't win the Super Bowl, they win a playoff game or two, and he plays really well. Now, what do you do next year? That's the bigger question. Do you are you coming back with Jimmy G, or are you going to the completely unknown guy, or are you making it? Because this year there was no competition in camp. This year was Trey Lance's job, and Jimmy G was fighting for existence. So I think that's the bigger question.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything out of Trey Lance. We saw, like Jeff said, 2 games, then the guy went down. But really, all three of us discussing this, even before the season was, what kind of belief do we have in Trey Lance? I mean, we saw him as a guy that was kind of going to be like a Justin Fields. And when I talked about Justin Fields a couple weeks ago, he's blown up since. But I see that out of Trey Lance as well. I mean, he's going to be a quarterback that runs the ball a lot. That's a different facet. But then it kind of takes Christian McCaffrey out of the game. It kind of takes Debo and Ayuk out of the game. With a guy like Trey Lance in there. I mean, I think it's tough. But like you said, Tommy, I mean, if you can get something for Garoppolo at the end of this season, when Trey Lance comes in, next year starts off slow. Do you have questions? Coming from the receiving core, Debo was already upset in the beginning of the season. Wasn't being utilized. There we go.
Lucas decided to join the team.
The captain.
There he is. That's my wolf. He's a monster, right?
He comes and hangs in a room with you while you do the show.
Not all the time. This is I must have pushed the door all the way closed, and I guess his mom is ignoring him right now. She's going through all the Christmas stuff, so he's looking for some comfort. He has to have a lot of attention. He needs a lot of attention. Right, buddy?
He needs some NFL talk for sure.
That's it. He's here hanging out. Well, Lucas has joined the team here at the Sunday Audible.
He's needy, your boy.
My boy is very needy. Yes. Okay, go play.
He's great. He's great.
Did you ever watch those Charlie Brown clips?
I did not. I did not watch them yet. I will though. I definitely will.
When Carrie came on, it made me feel think of it.
Hey, okay, so let's move on a little bit. Hey, Carrie, how are you? So listen, let's see where we want to get to. Okay, let's do 2 things before we make our picks. First off, give me the new balance of power in the AFC, NFC. Give me top 4 teams, 5 teams in each conference. John, you go first.
On the AFC, I have to start out with Buffalo and Kansas City, obviously. Buffalo with the letdowns and everything, I don't see that lasting long. I see those guys pulling it together. Too much talent there. Kansas City's the same way. Mm-hmm. With the way Mahomes plays, if you guys got to watch, the last game, I mean, he carried that team on his back. They had no answer for him. There was really nobody that stepped up offensively at the end of the game either. With the running ability and the guys, just the way he makes plays off the cuff is incredible. So obviously those 2 teams. I think really you got to put the Bengals and the Ravens up there too. The Ravens. There's just something that's just all the wins are not the prettiest wins, but they're getting it done. They're strong defensively. I think they got a great coach there. I've said that for the longest time. Cincinnati, what we saw last week, just blowing up on the Panthers. But guys, I mean, you got to put the Jets in there, Jeff. I mean, really, I know that their defense is strong enough, but you got to remember, guys, the NFL has really, changed the way the games are played this year. I mean, you're seeing a lot more running the football and good defense. You saw it with Carolina this past weekend. You saw. Let me think of a good example. Baltimore again. I mean, you're seeing a guy like Kenyon Drake step up. Had a great game against the Saints. It wasn't like they were lighting it up in the air. The quarterbacks now, like Daniel Jones, Tommy, is another good example, in the NFC, running the ball, the quarterback keeping it low, scoring the touchdowns, playing good defense. But those are my 5 teams in the AFC I think stand out. I think, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Kansas City, those guys are strong right there. Okay.
And quick in the NFC?
NFC is a little tougher. I mean, I called it in the beginning. Minnesota was my surprise team. I think as long as Kirk Cousins stays healthy, doesn't make the big mistakes in key situations, run the ball. Like I said, there's a ton of weapons there with Cook, Thielen, and Jefferson. I think that's a good team right there. I don't think you can count Tampa Bay out yet, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence in those guys this year. Seattle, I think you have to put in there just by the way they're playing. I think they have, just enough to get in there. Guys, honestly, I'm not really, overwhelmed by anybody in the NFC right now, other than the Eagles. I think Dallas has they still need to prove a little bit to me offensively. I think they got a good defense. But I think right now Philly is the team that stands out. Put Dallas in there. Then other than that, it's a crapshoot, I think.
Okay, with you, Jeff. You want to give me your top 4 in each one?
It's hard to say because I understand what John's saying, but there's like Cincinnati. I can't stand behind Cincinnati. I thought they were lucky last year. I think they're going to be even luckier this year if they make it to the playoffs. Baltimore is kind of a one-dimensional team. If something happens to Lamar Jackson, that's it. This team is, off to the sides. I thought that the Chargers were going to do better, but they're not. Even though they're one game behind Kansas City, but I got to go with Kansas City, Buffalo, of course. Those are the top 2 teams. I got to throw Baltimore in there because they're 6-3. Nobody's mentioned Tennessee so far. I'm not a big believer in Tennessee, but every year they're finishing at first place and winning that division. Miami and the Jets. These are 2 teams that are up and coming. And I can't say they're a top 4 in the AFC right now. I'm going to need a few more weeks on both of them, especially the Jets. I'm going to be exceptionally hard on the Jets because I'm liking what they're doing. They're doing it without spending a lot of money on big free agent signings. So I want to see these kids continue to develop, and then and then I'll be a bigger believer. But now if you flip over to the NFC, John, you mentioned Minnesota. Minnesota seems to be the biggest secret in the NFC right now, thanks to Philadelphia. I think that at 7-1, they're flying under the radar and nobody's paying attention to them. Right. And so you got Philadelphia and Minnesota without a doubt, but then you got Dallas, the Giants. It's hard for me, not because it's the Giants, but it's hard for me to get behind the Giants because you're waiting for one of those 2 guys, Barkley or Jones, to go down with an injury. And if either one of them goes down for even 2-3 weeks, it's going to fuck that team up. But, this NFC South is just a mess. It's just an absolute mess. If the only reason a playoff team is coming out of the South this year is because somebody has to win the division. And then as far as the NFC West, who we got here? San Francisco is a game and a half behind Seattle. And Seattle, that's another team with Geno Smith. I can't get behind them, but they're going to win the division, it seems. And, listen, it's hard to get behind Geno Smith. It really is. We know him for too long, and he's never played like this before. It's just, is it luck, or did he learn how to finally play? I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you.
It's interesting. It's a great point, Jeff. Great point, guys. So here it is. Give me you guys mid-season Super Bowl picks right now. 2 teams, one AFC, one NFC, who are going to meet in the Super Bowl. I don't necessarily need your winner. If you want to give it, you can. Jeff, your Super Bowl if today.
Right now, if I was to pick, I'd say Minnesota from the NFC. And I'm going with my sleeper pick, my Cinderella team, the New York Jets out of the AFC. Oh boy. I listen, they've already beaten Buffalo. They are as good a chance as anybody else. Right now, they're in the playoffs if the season was to end today. And this is a team that shouldn't be I feel as though maybe you shouldn't turn your back on them. I think they're going to surprise some people. I'm a little doubtful about the quarterback, but I think that the defense and the coaching staff is going to be what carries this team a lot further than people think. I wouldn't be surprised if they're this year's Cinderella team. I say Vikings and Jets. Jets 35-3.
That's the most unlikely Super Bowl, folks, you will ever hear in your entire life. John, please bring some sanity back.
He's got the confidence for sure.
Yeah,
it is a good team. Guys, it's tough. I mean, I think the three best teams in the NFC, San Francisco, the Vikings, and the Eagles. But I think right now, if you look at those three teams, who has the best chance and who's playing the best, and I think that's the Eagles right now. Barring any injuries, there's just a lot of things that they do well. They run the ball. AJ Brown is a monster. So I see Philly and Minnesota battling for it. I'm going to take Philly. Well, AFC's tough. I mean, I'm still sticking with Buffalo. I think Buffalo is still the best team in the AFC. I think they're the most balanced roster. I think these things with Josh Allen, like especially last week, I don't see that happen. And I see those guys, reeling everything in, coming back strong and winning. And I think they got the better defense of the entire group. When you have a quarterback like Josh Allen that's multifaceted, can, run the ball, like I said, and it's tough. And come playoff time, that's the type of style you need. So I see those two teams, Buffalo and Philly, right now.
Okay, good picks. I still like Buffalo myself in the AFC. It could be a lot of teams. Could be Kansas City. It could Tennessee. It could surprise people. I think the Jets, I need to see more, like Jeff said. I think it's still too much inconsistency there to really to be a playoff thing. In Miami, I don't know. Maybe a run in the playoffs. I'm not sure.
You got to say, I don't mean to cut you off, Tom, but Miami, with all the injuries that they've had at quarterback, and they're still there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they had their third string quarterback playing, and they're still 6-3.
Yeah, no.
This is a resilient team.
Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive. Again, I think you got to be careful if Cincinnati could get on a streak and run with it. Again, I think it's going to come down to quarterbacks, and I think that's my differences in the NFC. I think you have a still young quarterback, still not 100% behind Jalen Hurts. I know he's played great this year. Right. In a big playoff game, I want to see him play this way. Minnesota, I have no faith in Cousins. I have no faith in a big game for him to play well. And in the NFC West, I don't like anybody in the NFC South. Even my man Tom Brady. There's too many things going on. They're battling right now. Tom Brady says they're not playing with any energy, and Bowles comes back and he's contradicting him. I tell you the truth, I think the team to pay attention for is San Francisco. With their defense, Jimmy G's done it before. If I'm picking it right now, I'll tell you the truth, I'm going to go Minnesota. I just think I love the way the energy feels up there. So I'm going Minnesota and Buffalo, a little old school. So that's our picks. But, guys, it's Sunday Audible, Saturday morning here. Thanks for tuning in. That's Jeff Tomwinski. That's Sean Mahefka. Of course, I'm Tommy Florian. Welcome to our Saturday morning show. We got a few more minutes. We're going to run through games, guys. Very, very, very lackluster week of football. The best game of the week is Buffalo, Minnesota. We're going to go through the games, guys. Give me your thoughts and a pick. And also tell me, if this is a good game or not, because I only found one good game all week. All right. Here we go, guys. I'll open it up with the New York Football Giants, 6.5-point favorites over the Texans in MetLife. This is a must-win game for the Giants. The Giants cannot stumble here. A loss here changes my thoughts of the season, and the trajectory of the season makes it much tougher. A win here, 7 wins. They need another 2 or 3 out of the final, 7 to get there. This is a must-win for the Giants. I'm picking the Giants double digits at home against the Texans. John.
I'm with you on that too, Tommy. I mean, coming into MetLife, they have to win this one. There can't be any letdown.
No, not at all.
What the Texans look good, in the last game. I mean, Pierce has been having a great season, so he's a factor. But you got to win this game. I mean, you got to show something in this game too.
Yep.
You got a team that you should beat. You got to come in and pound it.
Yep. This can't be a nail biter, Jeff. So, John, I'm assuming you're taking the Giants, right?
Take the Giants.
Yeah, John, Jeff, where you headed?
You would like to think that the Giants could win this game, and like you said, if they don't, this is a team that they're supposed to beat. There would a lot of questions would arise, but in a game like this, I'm not going to call it a trap game because I hate that term. But are the Giants going to play up or are they going to play down? What happens? You know the Giants better. I think that they could do it. I think that they could win, but I think that there's some turmoil going on with the Texans. Their receiver was crying that he wasn't traded, and I just think it's a bad team. And I just hope that the Giants keep their heads up and that they could win. But I think that they're going to win this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, guys. I think again, this is a must-win for the Giants. Game number 2 in Germany. I don't know what time this game starts. I meant to look it up, but I don't.
9:30.
That's another 9:30 game. All right, so you can watch football all day. It's an interesting game. Tampa favored by 2.5, surprisingly over the Seahawks. I tell you what, a win here by the Seahawks stamps their season, flying around the world, beating Tom Brady and the Bucs, and I think this almost puts the dagger in the season of the Bucs. I think the Bucs have to win this game. I think the Bucs will win this game. I'm taking Tom Brady and the Bucs on the road. I don't know who's the home team, but I'm calling it a road game for both teams. Jeff, where are you going with this one?
This is a big game for Brady and the Buccaneers.
Yeah. More
so than it is for the Seahawks. If they lose, I agree with you. They may be out. Or nobody's going to, let me rephrase that. Nobody's going to take them seriously. They're not going to be out yet because they're still the best team in the NFC South, without a doubt. But, Tom Brady came on TV the other day and said he has no regrets about playing this year, no matter what. I think that's bullshit. I think inside, this guy's tearing himself apart, or a lot of different things. I think that playing football is the last thing on his mind, and I have a feeling he just can't wait for the season to be over. So, in that, I'm going with the Seahawks.
No.
But I think they're going to take it.
Okay. John, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think I go with you on this one, Tommy. I mean, this is a game that Tampa has to win. I mean, you're playing one of the standout teams in the NFC so far. And who plays better on a bigger stage than Tom Brady? I mean, I think NFL going to Germany, as much as I can't stand the guy, I think he gets it done in this game. I think, you're going to see a little more of Mike Evans in this game. They've kind of pulled away from that. But, I think it's going to be a close game, though. I really do. But I'm going to take Tampa as well, Tommy.
Okay. We'll move on to the Bills with maybe a substandard Josh Allen, and coming off a very bad loss and a game where Buffalo needs to put a stamp back on things. Buffalo needs to come out in this game and play well against probably in the biggest game of the week against Minnesota. Minnesota has less riding on this game than Buffalo does. Buffalo loses and comes back next week. They're in second place. I expect Buffalo to come out playing with fire and brimstone at home, and I think Buffalo comes back and wins this as long as Allen plays. If he doesn't play, I can't predict that. But I'm going to go with Josh Allen playing. And, John, I'm going to take Buffalo to resoundingly put a stamp on the division and the conference and who they are.
Yeah, I think so too, Tommy. If Allen plays, Buffalo gets it done. I mean, they have that bad taste in their mouth after last week. What better way to have this than at home and, playing one of the NFC contenders right now. But I think the thing I want to see most out of this, even though I'm taking Buffalo, but I want to see how Kirk Cousins plays. Mm-hmm. I want to see how he plays in the, outdoors against the AFC heavy hitter, the guys that can, really get it done. I mean, if Kirk Cousins comes in here and plays a solid game and that team looks good, then I think you'll get a really good taste of where Minnesota is going to go this season. Will they go deep in the playoffs or exit early?
It's a good point, Jeff. This is a big matchup for both teams. I think you're going to find out a lot about both these teams in this matchup. What do you think?
I agree. It's a possible Super Bowl matchup, too. You never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
A big game for both. I didn't expect Minnesota to be in the position that they're in. So let's see how they fare against maybe the best team in the NFL. And then after the game last week against the Jets, we got to see how Buffalo rebounds. Do
Yes.
they rebound?
Yeah.
Is Allen hurt? Is he going to be able to play? So, there's a lot going on for both teams. And I still think that the game of the year is going to be Buffalo and Kansas City, honestly. But this may be a close second right now. And it may also be a Super Bowl preview. But I'm going to go with Buffalo. And I think Buffalo takes this one in a close one, though.
Okay. A game where I don't know. I guess it's who cares, but it is a tradition. It's a huge. It's one of those games. Bears at home -3 versus the Lions. Bears. I don't know what they are at this point. I don't know what the Lions are. I'm just gonna say I think Justin Fields has a little bit of a field day at home, and the Bears win. I'll take the Bears. Given 3. John.
I'll do the same, Tommy. I think it's going to be Justin Fields. This is his team now.
Mm-hmm.
This guy really needs divisional game against the Lions. Somewhat of a rivalry. It's probably one of those games that if the TV's coming on and you're going to watch a soap opera. In this game, I'd probably watch a soap opera, which is terrible.
Yeah.
But it's I think Chicago gets it done. I think Justin Fields plays a good game and gets it done.
Okay, Jeff, old school matchup with a couple of old school teams. We love the uniforms because of what they represent, but Jeff, not the greatest game in the world.
No, but a lot of people are talking about Justin Fields and that he's been coming on the last couple of weeks. I think he's had 3 or 4 weeks in a row with over 30 points in fantasy leagues, which where did this come from? Did somebody take the real Justin Fields and replace him with somebody else? I don't know. I saw a couple plays, replays, and he looked pretty good running the ball, but unfortunately, he's got to throw the ball too.
Yep.
And I got to say, man, Detroit's a bad team, but so is Chicago. But I think Chicago's just going to be a little bit better this week and take it.
All right, there you go. Let's run through it quick, guys. Titans -3 at home to the Broncos. I don't know. I can't figure out the Broncos. I'm taking the Titans to win this run and run through this one. Jeff, what are you thinking?
It's not a game that I have much interest in. Neither team does much for me, but yeah, I agree with you. Titans. I'll be going with Titans.
Okay, Johnny boy.
I'm going with the Titans as well. Man, if you have Derrick Henry on that team, and they played tough last week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if it wasn't for Mahomes and the way he played, that game goes the other way. And Tennessee played tough. Tennessee's going to come in with a bad taste in their mouth, and I think they mop this one up with the Broncos.
Okay, next up on the sheet, John, is the Chiefs 9.5-point favorites over the Jaguars. Little disappointing. Jaguars have been inconsistent, but not surprisingly so. But the Chiefs 9.5-point favorites, a lot of points, but they are home. I'm taking Mahomes and the 9.5, John.
I think this is the game where you guys see Pacheco break out. I think this is a game where they're going to utilize him. I think they're going to get up enough to where they're going to be able to run the ball. I think Jacksonville will be competitive in the beginning, but I'm definitely taking Kansas City. It could be a letdown for KC. I think this game's going to be closer than anybody thinks, but yeah, Kansas City's remains steady.
Jeff, crazy season. Could be what you don't like to use the term trap game. Kansas City could look past this one. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I think Kansas City, second best team in the AFC when you got Pat Mahomes. It's hard to see them really having a bad game. I got to go Kansas City.
Okay. A team with two different roles this year. I think a couple years ago we would have thought this was maybe a bad game for the opposite reason. But Jeff, a really good Dolphins team facing a very bad Browns team. The Dolphins are home, getting 3.5. I'm taking Miami. I think their wide receiver duo is too much, and Tua's playing good football. I'm taking Miami, Jeff.
I gotta agree with you, but I want you to think of this. Brissett is coming down to the last couple games that he's going to be playing for this year, more than likely. So he may be playing extra hard. He's going to be showcasing himself, maybe even making a point where if Cleveland is in the playoff picture and what's his face comes back,
yep,
and he's not playing all that well, maybe Brissett's, like, hey, remember me over here? But I don't know. I got to go with Miami overall. I think just they're the better team at this point in time.
I would agree, John. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think Miami's a better team, Tommy. I think coming into Miami, with the amount of weapons that team has, Hill and Waddle, nobody has stopped those guys yet. So I think Cleveland's going to have to put up a lot of points. I think Brissett's going to have a good game here. There's probably another charge against Watson anyway. It might even happen against that, in that game at some point while he's standing outside the sidelines. Classic. That looks good.
Somebody, like, he put a rock around his neck and threw it off the mountain and just waited for it to drag him down the side of the hill. I don't understand him. I really don't understand him.
In the Drew Brees and Ben Roethlisberger can't look game, Jeff, the Saints and the Steelers are playing. I'm not sure why. The Saints are favored by 2.5. I believe it's on the road in Pittsburgh, which really kind of surprised the crap out of me. With Andy Dalton started, Jeff, I'm gonna go Saints in this one. I just have no faith in the Steelers, and I just 2.5 points is scary to me, Jeff.
It's I'm sorry, John. I just don't see the Steelers putting on much of a fight, and I got to be honest with you, man. What the fuck? I thought that Jameis Winston would have been under center by now.
Yeah,
right.
I just do not understand what's going on with some of these teams. Listen, Andy Dalton, man, wow. So, yeah, but I'm going to go with the Saints.
John, your squad.
I'll tell you what, guys, as much as I have zero confidence in what Pittsburgh's doing, after the bye week, you got the Saints coming in here with a quarterback that Pittsburgh's very familiar with. If you watch last week's game with the Ravens defensive line, did to the Saints and Andy Dalton. I mean, they gave him a good beatdown at home. Now this is on on Pittsburgh turf. Watt's coming back. I'm going to take the Steelers. I think Pittsburgh gets it done this week. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in them. You guys already know how I feel about the coaching staff and what's going on there. But I've made that more than noticeable. I think Pittsburgh gets it done, though. I think it's going to be ugly.
Hey, spoke like a true Steeler fan, John. Spoke like a true Steeler fan. Again, another game. I'm not sure, other than for fantasy purposes, the Raiders are going to play -6.5 versus the Colts. Jeff Saturday making his debut. What the hell are you doing now?
What the fuck does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, why would you pick Jeff Saturday? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Evidently, this guy hasn't even coached his kids' high school team.
He only coached. He's working for ESPN. I mean, and he only coached a little bit in high school team. And I don't get it either. A lot of controversy over this one. I want to get into it this week. I just think this team completely falls apart. I would bet the house on the Raiders this week.
Unless there's one thing that I could say.
Okay.
One thing that I could say. And is this the way that they want to tank?
Maybe.
Keep the fan base happy by putting in, one of their beloved sons and throwing them to the Lions. And listen, if you win, you win. And, you always said you wanted to do this. This is like, you being Joe Gibbs's next door neighbor, and his driver is going to be sick this week, and you just happen to have a Camaro sitting in the driveway. Like, hey, you want to drive in a race? That's what this is like to me.
I can't argue with it. Who you picking?
Man, definitely not the Colts. I got to go with the Raiders.
John, you got a thought on this one?
You can't draw plays on the turf and in the middle of the game. You only got 3 timeouts. I have. So
I think this is going to be go to the fire hydrant and turn around. So
big time.
John, what do you think,
guys? What if you got this was a 4 o'clock, but what if it was a 1 o'clock game and you were watching? You had the choice of Chicago, Detroit, or the Colts in Vegas. I mean,
that's when you grab the keys and you ask your wife if she wants to go to Costco at that point in time.
It's it.
Yeah, you're playing your day. You're playing your day and going to Costco. Guys,
Did you want to go shoe shopping? Is that what you wanted to do? Come on, let's go.
Cowboys and the Packers.
I'll take Vegas, Tommy. I didn't say it, but
okay, good man. John, Cowboys and the Packers in Green Bay. Packers could get their 6th loss in a row, and I think they will. I'm taking the Cowboys. John, where are you going?
I don't have any confidence in Green Bay right now. But if this is a game that they need to show something, this is it. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Dallas just has too much. I think Dallas's defense. This is still a playoff team here. Dallas. I mean, they need to win this game. They've had issues with the Packers in the past, and this is the one they put them away at home.
Okay. Jeff, where you going with this one? Cowboys and Packers.
Cowboys, America's team, baby.
Worst public relations thing ever. Jeff, Rams and the Cardinals. Cardinals may not have Kyler Murray's got a hamstring issue. They're almost probably hoping his leg falls off because I think he's hated in that team on his own team. But I don't know which way to go with this one. I'm going to take the Rams by default. I don't know what other way to go with this one. Jeff, where are you going?
Our opposition this week has Matthew Stafford. I'm hoping that he goes out with some kind of injury for the game.
Well, he right now he's in concussion protocol. He may not play either.
Dude, I hope his mind is like oatmeal for the next week. Okay, but who did you say? The Cardinals?
Yeah.
The Cardinals, Marquise Brown is also on the sideline, so I'm torn here.
Yes.
It's like I really don't give a shit who wins this game. It can end up in a 0-0 tie for all I care.
I'm with you on this one.
But I'm going to have to go Rams. I think that the Rams are going to try to, make a stand and stop the bleeding. And, this is a good game for them to do it against. Good team to do it against. Watch Robbie Anderson. Here's a little thing for you, a little tidbit for you. Robbie Anderson, 35 fantasy points this week. You got it first.
John, any thoughts on that?
I could see it. It's an ugly game, but I think if Stafford plays, you have to take the Rams, especially at home and that bad loss last week against Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I got to take the Rams, and I got Kyler Murray and Tom Brady.
Oof.
On my team. I mean, who do you start here?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would start Brady, but
Isn't it amazing how you'll get a great week in the NFL, right? Where there's games, you don't know which game you want to see. You're like, I want to see. But then you get a week like this, and you're like, you hope that there's high school lacrosse on or something. A Beavis and Butthead marathon or something.
Yeah.
Something. Maybe this will be the week that everybody puts up the Christmas tree.
I'm putting on mine tomorrow. I'm watching Giants, so that's an easy one for me. Guys, this again, that could be a good one. This could be a good football game. The 49ers on the road against the Chargers. 49ers by 7. I'm going to take the Chargers. I think the Chargers need a big week and a big game. I'm not a big believer in Jimmy G and that team. I'm gonna take the Chargers, getting 7 in this one, guys. John,
this is a tough one too, Tommy. I think this definitely could be a good game. Now, if Williams and Keenan Allen were in, then it's a different story for me. But man, this Charger team is one of those teams that we think every year these guys are going to get over the hump. And every year they are the hump, with the injuries and the, just inconsistent play. I mean, I'm screaming for them to get over the hump and really take it, but I'm going to take the 49ers in this. I think there's just too much and really two of the best multifaceted backs in the league playing each other in this game. I think these guys are both going to blow up, but I think the 49ers right now are the healthier team, and that's the one I'm going to take.
Let me ask you something, John. What defense you think is going to be on the money this week? The Niners or the Chargers?
I think the Niners will be on this week.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at fantasy value, I would think it'd be the Niners. I just think there's, they're healthy. They just got a little bit too much right now.
Let's say, I don't know, but let's just say that you have both Garoppolo and Herbert on your fantasy team. Which quarterback would you start?
That's a tough one, Jeff.
Yeah, one we have to answer.
Oh,
yeah.
you know what's tough too? A game like this is one of those games where Herbert is probably gonna have to throw. He throws a ton to Austin Eckler. There's a lot of yards after the catch on both of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh man, that's a toss-up, guys. I think Herbert's definitely the better quarterback. But
He's have the better game.
If you're looking at this, though, I think Jimmy G will. I think if you look at, yards after the catch, like a little, dump pass to Christian McCaffrey and he goes 80 yards, I could see that happening. But I could also see that happening with Eckler. I just think there's a better opportunity for Jimmy G to do it. As ugly as that sounds, it's on the road too. Man, you guys put me in a tough one there.
Yeah.
If Herbert had healthy receivers, you had these two big guys plus Eckler, then I would definitely start Herbert. But this one right here, I think the guys, if you look at it, are both evenly matched here going in. So I would toss a coin and pick whatever side lands heads up.
Okay. Last game, guys, and it could be a good game. And I think it's time the Redskins just give Taylor Heineke the job. I mean, the guy has played well enough, and they keep bringing in these retreads and guys, but again, maybe hopefully the next coach will figure that out when they fire jerk-off Ron Rivera. This one, Eagles by 11 at home on Monday night. I tell you what, I'm going to take the Redskins in this one. Not to necessarily win it outright, but I think they'll cover this one. So I'm taking the Redskins. I think the Eagles are going to have a bad game along the way. I think this is going to be the one. And I think Taylor Heineke is going to surprise some people. And I think he's going to be the quarterback. And the answer, short of somebody coming available, a Derek Carr or somebody like that. So, Jeff, I'm taking the Redskins in this one to cover, not necessarily to win it.
I got to stick with the Eagles, man. I just don't see the Washington Redskins having what it takes to beat the team like the Eagles. If they were playing Chicago or Detroit or a lesser team, but I think that Philadelphia is looking to make a point at this point in time. And this is a trap game for them, without a doubt.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. So, John, where are you going with it? So, Jeff, you're going with the Eagles?
Yes.
John?
I'm going to go with the Eagles too, Tommy, but I agree. Heineke should definitely be the guy they stand behind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not the greatest quarterback in the league, but the guy is, he's obviously a good leader for that team.
Mm-hmm.
These guys play hard for him. He's competitive all the time. I mean, if they're getting blown out, the guy's giving 1,000%. I really like him as a quarterback. I like what he does. I think he's a great leader. Bringing back any of the other guys, bringing Wentz back in, I think that's a hard hit to that team. I think Rivera's gone at the end of the year, like you said, Tommy. But I can't see Philly losing this. I think you might see some letdown early, but I can't see that happening.
All right, so there it is, folks. That's our picks for the week. I hope you do well with it. I got a couple of games I bet this week, and I'll be watching, and I hope you guys enjoy it all. Guys, I'll give you final words before we shut it down. Another week 10 of the NFL Sunday Audible is in the books. Jeff, your final words?
Don't turn your back on the Jets, man. We're coming. We're coming, and we're going to win it all.
All right, I want that sink in for a second, folks. I started to pass out. I
had to turn the hat around so you could see the logo.
Yeah,
that's why.
Anyway, John, please save us, John, on the way out the door.
I don't know how I could save it after that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But he's right, though. I think the Jets are a good team. I think watch out for them. I don't necessarily see Super Bowl or any of that. I think they squeal into the playoffs, though. I think defense is good enough.
Yeah.
But I think at the end right here, get up at 9:30, watch Seattle and Tampa, and see if Brady actually wakes up in that Bucs defense. And if Detroit and Chicago and Indy and Vegas are on, go elsewhere, guys. That's the Beavis and Butthead marathon right there.
I agree with that, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Thanks to our sponsor, the Hemp Wizard Boys. If you want to look that spectacular from the chin down, because it definitely doesn't look spectacular from the chin up, But from the chin down, if you want to look spectacular, tell them, Jeff, what they going to do.
Right here. Look at this, man. Look at this. Right here.
Thanks,
Then
Gary.
we
You
got some
too.
of this wonderful oil. Makes the beard nice and thin, nice and smooth. Oh my God! All day long I could just sit there and do that, man. It feels nice.
Folks, the only thing I have to say is that there is a little bit of a disclaimer. I think the beard oil is affecting the smells are affecting his brain. His fix, his jet logic is quite clear. So please have the stuff checked out and monitored by a doctor when you're taking it, because I see lots of crazy thoughts coming out of Jeff Nowinski's head.
And I got to admit, I saw the picture of you this morning in the corrections officer's uniform, man. Those tight pants and those badge made me take notice, baby.
Oh boy! On
That's
that
really
note,
affected him now.
Yeah, now I know it's really affected. But don't forget, it is the holiday season, and if you're looking for stocking stuffers or a great gift for those in your family who have good skin, or maybe need to get their skin a little worked out, and of course anybody with a beard, whether it's the Jeff types or Aunt Edna, whoever it is out there, make sure you get your stuff from Hemp Wizard Beard Care Company and go to hempwizard.net for all your products.
Right, right here. You get a little too. Actually, John, let's say you're having a big get together for the holidays.
Absolutely, Tom. Absolutely, Jeff.
Somewhere along the line, you have an aunt there that nobody wants to go near, nobody wants to kiss. You take a little bit of this stuff and you just go over to it. And you put a little on your hand, and then you go over and be like, "Oh, Aunt Edna, how are you doing? How you doing?" You just rub her face, and it'll make it smoother. It'll make that goodnight kiss a little bit better, a little bit more tolerable. It won't be so wiry like you're kissing a wire foxtail terrier there or something. This is what you're gonna want, man. Get this stuff, John. Get this stuff. Have it on hand.
Can't get a better.
Jeff, I believe you, man.
Can't get a better endorsement for that, guy. So again,
I agree,
guys. Have a great day. Enjoy your college football today. Some good games. Enjoy your pro football tomorrow. Not necessarily a lot of great games out there, but it's still football, and it's still nothing better to do on a Sunday than watch college football. Watch football. But come on back next Saturday when we do this all over again. I got to run, guys, so I'm going to say for Jeff Nowinski, John Mahafka, myself, and everybody here, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for paying attention. And have a great rest of your weekend. And, again, a good start to your holiday weekend. Boys, I love you both. I will see you off air.
See you later, man. Be good.
Love you too, guys.
See you guys.
Be good, man. Later.
Later.